If I were ever going to storm a pillbox, you know the kind of pillbox that they're always storming in the Van Johnson pictures? It means there is no return. Sheer, sudden, utter, and certain death. I could just see this colonel saying, "Shepard, storm that pillbox. Pick 6 guys." I'd look around at this platoon, and I'd pick 6 White Sox fans. Because these guys have known death every day of their lives, and it holds no terror for them now. Let me tell you about being a White Sox fan. There is something special about being a White Sox fan. The White Sox haven't won a pennant in the recorded history of mankind. They know nothing but defeat, frustration, and disaster. This mosaic of human comedy. You see, a White Sox fan measures victory in terms of defeat. Like if the White Sox lose 6-5, that's a good day, because it's usually about 7-2. And if Luke Appling gets 3 hits, that makes the month. I mean, even though the Sox lost 11-3, Luke knocked out 3 of them today. By George. Luke Appling once batted .388, won the American League batting championship, playing on the Chicago White Sox. And that year, he knocked in 27 runs. There was just never anybody on base. It would be like living in a jungle with nothing but tigers as far as you could see, and you're the only human being, and you represent the human race, and you're trying to keep it alive. Luke Appling. And then I remember Zeke Bonura. This is a typical White Sox player. Banana-Nose Bonura. Zeke Bonura playing first base. One year won the American League fielding championship and never laid a glove on a ball. He just stood there, day after day. Every man's great moment on the White Sox happened when nobody was watching. They had this pitcher named Bill Dietrich, Wild Bill Dietrich. He was kind of fat. He was a typical White Sox pitcher, and he was nearsighted. And any guy who was nearsighted who was in the big leagues was great as far as I was concerned. Always in the spring, you'd see pictures of him in the Chicago Trib. It would say, "Dietrich, signs packed." And it always looked as if there was a thumbprint on his left lens. And he had this kind of funny squint, you know, that nearsighted guys get. You know, one year, Bill Dietrich lost 15 games and won 7. And the next season he held out because he'd had a good year. Well, it was a good year, you know. The year before that, he'd lost 19. Old Bill Dietrich is out there pitching one day, and you can look this up in the record books. Bill Dietrich pitched a no-hit, no-run game against the St. Louis Browns. 37 games out of first place. The White Sox were 41 games out of first place. They were just 2 games ahead of the 4th place team in the American Association. The White Sox and the Browns. Sister teams of defeat. For over 7 years, simultaneously, they occupied the cellar in the American League. It was kind of a ballet of disaster. And Bill Dietrich pitched a no-hit game. There were 243 paid admissions, 186 patrol boys, and 3 troops of Girl Scouts who saw Bill Dietrich at the very, very apex of his world. And probably right this very minute now, poor old Bill Dietrich is polishing somebody's window at some smiling service station, looking in with that same squint. But he was there once. He was there and he did it. I remember one time Bill Dietrich is standing out there on the mound. He had this beautiful motion, you know. He looked kind of like a caveman. And he would walk in circles out there and look down and peer into the darkness. And he had this catcher named Mike Tresh, who went once for over 2 years without getting a hit. A real White Sox ball player. And he used to laugh it up all the time. "All right, come on, let's go. We got him going here. Let's go, Bill. Let's go. Put it right here, old man." And here's Bill Dietrich out there pitching. He's behind 7-1. Mike Tresh is talking it up. He's squinting down there, looking into the darkness. Old Bill shakes off a sign, glances back towards second base where the runner's taking a short lead. He shakes off another sign, and everybody in the park knew that Dietrich had only 2 pitches. His slow curve and his wild one. He's already shaken off 3 signs. It was just the White Sox trying to play it out, you know? Trying to make it look better. Trying to make it look better for all of us. They represented not Chicago, but the South Side. Do you know what it feels like to be a South Sider in a world of North Siders? Yeah. Let me tell you about that. They got this special ball team up there. They call them the Cubs. And they have this ballpark that has these vines growing up. And on top of the vines, they got these little guys wearing Wrigley gum hats. And this big fat clown of an announcer was always saying, yeah, the Cubs are going to have a great year. The Cubs are going to have a great year. And I remember one time the White Sox are playing the Cubs in the City Series, which is the only kind of glory we ever saw. And Mike Krivich got lost for 15 minutes in the vines in center field. They had to call the game for a while when they went out there and looked for him. Mike Krivich, a White Sox outfielder who hadn't seen a leaf in years. This guy lived in nothing but concrete and coal mines. Mike Krivich, there's a name. There is a White Sox name. Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle. What a name for a ball player. Mickey. Bobby. Mike Krivich. There's a name. This is a name that's made out of old red bricks, used bricks. The kind of bricks you buy at the lumber yard. Got chunks of tar hanging on it and old concrete, pieces of straw and other things. Can't even discuss it. I remember Mike Krivich standing out in center field with tobacco juice squirting out of both ears. He's just standing out there. He looks like a fire plug with feet. I'll never forget the first time that it happened. They took Mike Krivich out for a pinch hitter. I'm sitting there next to the radio. Bob Elson says, next man up is Krivich. Says, wait a minute. Looks like they're sending in who's number 7 there. They're not letting Mike hit. Mike Krivich is taken out for a pinch hitter on the Chicago White Sox. It was then I began to see that the world was changing. Somebody named Bobby or Johnny came up to hit for him. It was the beginning of a new world. Banana Nose Zeke Bonora is back selling fruit in New Orleans.